So Steve, because I knew you in a totally different way than being ever friends with Todd, being ever friends with Gameface, being ever doing any of that stuff. And my question for you is, how did you and Todd meet? And then how did you become this guy at Gameface shows? It was like I don't know if a dancer like the Avail guy was, because there's that band where they had that, but how'd that happen?
Well, as far as how Todd and I met, his younger brother Brian and I went to College Park Elementary together and graduated together, and that's how the introduction of Todd took place in 6th grade before I graduated. And then eventually our friendship became solidified during our high school years, in which he got me involved in the basketball team and got me involved in one of the better surprise birthday experiences that I've ever had in my life, sophomore year.
That was great.
And just a lot of great times ensued from that, playing basketball with Todd, playing against him, which wasn't much fun for me because he always picked on me even though he was 3 inches taller than me. How I ended up at Gameface parties is that, well, Todd was kind of he led me in high school. He made high school a little bit easier for me in a lot of respects. Made me feel cool, made me feel like I could, hang around with guys cooler than me, more athletic than me, whatever the case may be. And I started going to the backyard parties, dancing like a maniac. Literally like a maniac. Like a earthquake and a tornado were going through my body at the same time.
Was that something
that made no sense whatsoever, but it was fun.
Did you feel the need to do that because you were moved by the music? Were you like, it was like what was it?
I'm not so much into punk rock, not a big punk rock guy. Todd will tell you more of an R&B hip-hop. I like my music with a groove and a beat. So I imagine it was my way of supporting Gameface, but also making my presence known. As I'm the type of person, wherever I go, I want to make my presence known in some way, shape, or form, and I think that's how I made my presence known at the Gameface backyard jams that they would have all the time. I would just start dancing and going crazy and be the life of the party, as I always was. But I also thought it was a way of supporting Gameface, and that if this crazy guy is doing this music must be pretty compelling.
And if I can add, he became, at first people didn't know what to think of it, and maybe some people thought it was funny, but as it progressed, we're playing all the shows in Irvine with Farside and those remember the house shows?
Yes.
Steve was there, and he became this huge hit to some extent. And he just kind of did his thing. So
I was gonna say, he didn't just see Gameface. You saw Farside.
I saw Farside.
Yeah. Inside Out. I mean,
even Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
One of the first Lollapalooza concert I went to in 1993 up in Carson featured Rage Against the Machine, Zach De La Rocha, as well as Ice Cube, one of my favorite hip hop artists of all time.
That's right.
So you never got into the music beyond those shows, though. It just because I remember you even coming to see my band. We'd be playing with Gameface, but it was just it stayed in that lane.
It stayed in that lane. Yeah, I don't collect. I mean, I remember being in your house. There'd be Sex Pistols on the wall, the Ramones, and other punk rock bands from Great Britain. So I suppose I was predisposed to it, but I think it was more being supportive of people who are friends of mine, who are extended members of my family, more so than something that I was into per se, to be honest.
Gotcha.
An example of music bringing all of us together. Seriously.
Exactly.
And now having a
it's
lifelong friendship. Yeah.
Not everyone loves sports, but everyone loves music.
Right. That's a good.
It's just a matter of what you pre-tune on your radio or what you put into your library.